Hello, Mark. Nice to see you. I'm very glad that you are with us now.
Hi, it's very nice to meet you. I'm glad to be here as well. Thank you for inviting me.
I was dreaming to talk to you for a long time, and now my dream came true, and I'm so happy to see you.
Oh, that's very kind of you. You're making me blush. I hope I don't disappoint you. Was it Pravit? Is that, I think that's hello in Russian, is that right?
Ah,
Привет.
like this. Привет,
Oh,
привет.
привет. Ah, okay. And Nastrovia. That's the only two things I know.
This is enough. This is enough. No,
Sweetie.
I'm. I'm not. I'm out of our office, and I'm in the center of our country. No, this is Nizhny Novgorod. This is one of the city where the FIFA championship um, uh, will be performed this summer.
Oh,
So
wow. For the
I'm in.
World Cup.
Yeah, and now I'm in a park here. Okay, Mark. Uh, as I told you, we talk a lot with the Dash core members and with Dash promoters in our country. But we are very interested in your opinion. In opinion, the man, I mean the person who promote Dash actively in Europe. Please, would you tell us how do you think? What do you think about Dash development now?
Okay, my personal opinion in terms of developments would be separate to kind of like outreach, but I'm very encouraged from what I see from a European standpoint in terms of international outreach, which is actually part of one of my roles within the Dash Force, the Dash funded organization that I'm a part of. One of my job roles is that our news website and our services is translated into 7 languages, and one of them being Russian as well. And particularly through different social media platforms, like Telegram, for example, the Russian community is very, very big, and it's very, very reassuring. There's lots of grassroots movements, even particularly close to you, like with the CIS team. So that's great. So one of the great advantages to Dash is actually where we have a treasury, we're not dependent and reliant on a centralized few at the top. We're completely decentralized, which means that we can have other projects come about. So typically, other projects just look towards a core team, and our Dash core group team is actually funded by the Treasury and accountable to the Mastodon network, just like my Dash funded organization is. So it means literally anyone can come to the network and offer their services to the network, and then we can vote. So we're actually a community-led coin. So in terms of international outreach, Dash is the perfect solution because Dash is borderless, and people coming aboard. So it's not just really Europe and Venezuela. So although you asked me about Europe, my outlook is always worldwide because where I'm distributing and syndicating news from the news website, I'm using various social media networks and also different language out things. And I see big movements, obviously in Venezuela at the moment. We've got the Kuva Cash trying to push it in Zimbabwe. We've got the CIS crew doing all these amazing events. I think they were in Moscow recently, actually, at an event. And yourselves, Dash People, Dash Help Group. It's just scaling, and it's really, really great to see. So I hope that
Mm-hmm.
answers your question.
So this is our the most important, or I would say one of the most important advantages in comparing with other cryptocurrencies. I mean, with other cryptocurrency communities, right?
Yes, 100%. Because there, a lot of other cryptocurrencies, they're just relying on a core team. And when I say they're centralized, just so your viewers can understand, is it's just a few people making a decision, where typically they might be dependent on volunteers donating funds or external third parties providing funding to do development. where with Dash, we've got that positive feedback loop where we are self-governing and self-funding. So we're a community-led coin, and the community decides which path we want to take. So we choose our own destiny. And if a certain Dash fund organization, whether it be Dashforce, Dashcore Group, or anyone, if someone else comes along and offers some, a better solution, we can vote that way. And we have that system in place. So we're very democratic, but decentralized in the best way possible. And a lot of people don't have that. And Dash was really the first cryptocurrency to be a true DAO, decentralized autonomous organization. And I still don't think Dash has got the credit it truly deserves, because we're innovating and pioneering in the cryptocurrency space, and people are just starting to take notice now because of issues that have played out and plagued other cryptocurrencies that have come before us.
And Mark, according to this issue, what do you think about the current budget proposals? I mean, many people have different insight or different opinions how to promote Dash effectively. But do you think maybe sometimes this is better to have the one strategy, the one way to promote Dash to be successful on the market and to be compatible with other cryptocurrencies, because they are a lot of today, and we need to have a strong strategy. So what do you think about current proposals? How do you see it?
I think it's very diverse, and I think what we should really say is that the Treasury at the moment and our budget proposal system is very, very healthy. For the last 2 cycles, especially, which are monthly, we've actually had too many proposals and we haven't had enough Dash to fund them. So it's a very, very positive thing. And in the recent months, even Mastodon owners that actually vote on the proposals are actually having to sort of change the way they look at them and having to vote strategically to choose which ones they like the most. So that's great. So yeah, whether it's marketing, development, or business integration, it funds everything. How do I feel about it right now? From my heart, I feel encouraged, because we have a plethora of choices to go from, and it's actually becoming more and more of a job for Mastodon owners to read through all these separate proposals. There should never be a all-in-one box solution, one size fits all, right? You need a multi-pronged approach, different things. Not one way doesn't work everywhere in the world. That's why we need people like yourselves, or like in Brazil or Venezuela, that actually understand, so we can have grassroots outreach efforts that understand the community. And I've had to learn this firsthand myself, bringing on the translators and doing the outreach within Dashforce, because you need to know what people know. Some news stories and articles don't resonate well in certain countries. So you need to have people on the ground that understand, especially if you want to have long-term growth. So there isn't one way, to go. You need multiple efforts to be successful. And that's the really encouraging thing with the Dashcore Group as well, because with Bradley Zastro, who is the head of business development, he's now hiring regional managers. And there was a new hire today, actually, for Latin America. And they're taking this seriously, but they're doing it in a professional way, so we can have long-term results for a long-term project. So we're going to get that to come back. So not just for market outreach, but for business development. This is the way it should be. And yeah, like I said, from my heart, I feel very encouraged by what I see.
So am I correct if I would say that your thing, this is better to use many tools, I mean marketing tools, to promote Dash, and not focus on something certain or something particular? I mean, like internet marketing, or just conferences, and maybe or maybe conferences, and what we have, or like developing payment system among one sphere, like Alt36. So
Yes,
we
all
need to
36, yeah.
spread. So we need to spread our activity in all ways of marketing, I mean, opportunities. Yes.
Yes, absolutely. I agree with you. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
everything plays a key role. And Fernando, who is the Dashcore Group CMO, is now actively recruiting two new marketing managers. So although they kind of lead from the front with the Dashcore Group, there are other initiatives and stuff as well, but we kind of look for them for guidelines because we all want to be singing from the same hymn sheet. We want to be using that, getting the message right and making sure everyone's propagating that same message so we can have to full effect, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because if everyone's saying the same thing, that's going to yield the best results possible. Yes, events are absolutely key. It all comes down to demographics in integrating. So I think for the longest time, and I still think a lot of cryptocurrencies in this space fall victim to this, that they just focus on targeting cryptocurrency users. Dash is a solution for the world where you can send any amount of Dash to anyone, anywhere in the world, instantly, right? So we want to be a payment system. So this idea of always targeting this little bubble of the crypto world, when you look at the market cap, it's just like a needle in the haystack. Really, you know, I don't see them as our competition. You know, with the upcoming Dash evolution, our true rivals are things like PayPal, Venmo, which is popular in the States, not so much in Europe, but these are the people that we'll be going after. So if we're going to go after everyday people, we need multiple efforts. The youth of today don't really watch TV anymore. A lot of them are watching YouTube streaming content.
Agreed.
But then there's a lot of seasonal professional investors as well, which you need to engage in certain events. So even if it's just local meetups in your area about cryptocurrency, investments, whatever. I don't really like talking about cryptocurrency as investments because the idea is to replace, not support, right?
Yep.
So yeah, everything is so critical, and especially onboarding new businesses, because we're about our ecosystem. This isn't just about hoarding as much as you can. It's about actually making it work, which is why I feel so happy to see the efforts in Venezuela come to light, because where I am in the UK and some of my colleagues in America, there are distinct advantages of using Dash. However, to most people on the street, those advantages aren't a direct necessity for them right now. However, when you're in countries that have severe currency crisis, like Venezuela, and you have central planners, central banks that have failed, and then you see Dash thriving and people coming on, that tells me Dash is working, and yeah, we've got very good things to come. So the future for Dash is looking very bright indeed.
Yes, Venezuela encourages all of us, and I would like to know why did you join to Dash? How did you decide to? Why did you prefer Dash?
Wow, that's a really great question. So before I was into cryptocurrency, I was always open to alternative currencies. I was open to precious metals, but I was in Bitcoin before. And when Xcoin then moved on to Darkcoin, I was interested because of the whole privacy element, because even experts in the early days of Bitcoin thought Bitcoin was anonymous, but then obviously block explorers and things came out, which changed that. So then there was a direct need purely for fungibility. You know, if we go to the shop and, you know, we're a coffee shop and I give you, a £20 note and you change it up, you don't know the history of that, right? But then if I paid with my Bitcoin, you would know my address, how much I have in my balance, where I've spent it before, but also where I spend in the future. That's not a solution that people want. People want digital cash. And that's why Dash resonates with me, because we have that instant send functionality, but also private send as well. So Dash for me kind of just changed the way I looked at it. And I thought, if we're truly going to get mass adoption, we need a solution that actually works for the real world. And so for Bitcoin, for me, although I'll always be grateful because they paved the way forward, a lot of people say like, oh, why do you have to create an altcoin? Why couldn't you just contribute to Bitcoin? That's what our founder, Evan, tried to do. He identified that the need for privacy and said, hey, I've got this idea, let's do it. Bitcoin had no idea to reach a consensus to bring this in, right? And it's still plagued by those same issues today. So these conversations were going on in 2013. So Dash was actually founded in January 2014. And I'm so thankful because we've had so much innovation since then. Just off the top of my head, the X11 mining algorithm, the dark wave gravity, which changes the difficulty in the blocks, Sporks, the Masternode network, the DAO, Instant Send, Private Send. Dash has really changed the game. And that's why I kind of alluded to earlier, Dash truly doesn't get the credit it deserves in my eyes. So as a former Bitcoiner, I see Dash being the gateway to true mass adoption. And being a European, I saw what happened with Greece and the bail-ins and, the bail-outs and the bail-ins. You're in Russia and you'll remember what happened to the ruble in the 80s. So I think sometimes for Europeans, we truly understand currency inflation a lot more than others, and it really resonates with us. So these things are really, really important. So those things really sung to me for Dash, and also the ease of use. So the long-term goal of being a cryptocurrency your grandmother can use. People drive a car, they don't have to know how an engine works. They use the internet, but they don't have to know how it works behind the scenes. It should just be intuitive. It should just work. And Dash does that.
Mark, thank you very much for this perfect explanation. So encouraging, really. And the last question, do you have particular tools or ways to promote Dash in UK? I mean, in your country?
I would like to see more actual movement in the UK. And it is kind of interesting because I kind of probably am one of the bigger leaders more on the westernized social media. So for example, like on Twitter, I think I have close to 16,000 followers. But the problem is when you're using these social media networks is unless that you're doing paid for advertising, which has been a bit of a problem with cryptocurrency recently because of restrictions from Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter, right? So you're on an open platform, so you're open up to everyone. So in terms of targeting the UK, right now, the leading effort is from Fernando, the CMO of Dash Core Group, where they're actually trialing video adverts and landing pages in the UK and in Spain as well to make sure they get the message right before they can scale out that campaign. We have the new Dash logo branding, and we just have so much stuff in store. And I often feel a little bit sorry for Core in some ways because I've seen some of the work that they've done behind the scenes, and I'm very fortunate in my position that I get to speak to Dash Core developers. And I was talking to them today, but they have to keep so much behind because there's so much good stuff to come. And just to protect it, because they want to do everything in a controlled, measured way. And it's the professionalism that comes with it. And this was the other thing that I would say to people that are exploring and looking at other cryptocurrencies. Take the driving test, but please recognize this one thing. You will never find another core group as professional as the Dash Core Group. They do a quarter summary call on YouTube, typically an hour and a half, but it breaks down everything from key performance indicators to Q&A sessions to everything else, where a lot of people just going off white papers and aliases and profile avatars, and they don't know the people truly behind these projects. So there is a lot of accountability within Dash and discussion, and being part of a community-led coin and having that conversation, deciding which way we should go is, for me, is the people's coin, the people's choice. And that's what my allegiance isn't even to Dash Core, it's to the Dash network, right? I believe in the network. So I'm all for decentralization. There should never just be one entity to, one ring to rule them all. It doesn't work that way, especially not with Dash.
Mark, thank you very much for this response, for these answers. They contain much information to Dash community, to people who are already in Dash community, and I think obviously to people who are going to join us. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you. And keep up the good work. I'm really enjoying your interviews. And I'm a little bit jealous that you got to meet Ryan Taylor in person and actually go to the Arizona offices. So I'm enjoying your videos. Please keep up the great work in Russia. I do actively visit the Telegram group, the Russian Telegram group. So I keep my eye on it. Alex is a great guy as well. He's doing a great job over there. So yeah, Dash people, keep doing a great job. You have my support. And yeah, please keep up the good work. And thank you for interviewing me.
Thank you. We will be in touch, right?
Stay dashy.
Thank you. Bye.
Okay, bye.